don't know everything just because we're human. I can tell you that the entire rest of the population on the planet, all animals, all insects, operate in what's called the way. The way. A system set up for communication through cooperation and the continuance of life in a dangerous world. They all know it. This tiger knows it. We're going to operate within this scope, okay? And you can see for yourself how it works. If we're wrong, we'll just, get eaten. But it's not you, so it doesn't matter. Okay? But if we're right, we will have heaven on earth, won't we?
We actually opened out of Africa down in the Scottsdale area on an Indian reservation in 1988. And then we were there for 16 years, closed down in 2004, reopened in 2005 on 100 acres, and now we've acquired another 100 acres here in Camp Verde. Beautiful weather, just a great place to be and have lots of room for the animals.
The reason for moving from that location was space. Animals don't like to be confined just like us. You could have the best house in the world, and if you can't get out of it, what's the point? So instead, we needed to give them choices, okay, so that their needs could be met. And in life, meeting needs or need fulfillment is the name of the game. Fulfill the needs of someone else and you are fulfilled. Mm-hmm. You give, not take. Love gives, fear takes.
I actually had an internship working with wolves, and I just fell in love with wolves. But getting into the field is a little difficult. It took me about a year after college, and I was just applying all over the place. I basically just want to get out of Texas. And I saw this job opening and I applied. They called me out for an interview, and I actually loved how big the habitats are. I thought it was amazing for all the animals, how much space they had to live in. And I just fell in love with the giraffes. I don't think I was seeking out hoofstock specifically. I was just really eager to get into the fields. I was even willing to do like reptile experience, and I am not the biggest reptile person. I just knew I wanted to be with any sort of animal.
How did I get here? So I went to school first off. I always knew that I wanted to work with animals. So I decided to take a biology field over at NAU in Flagstaff. Really close to when I was graduating, I decided to intern here out of Africa. So I was coming here once a week on my weekends and spending the entire 8-hour day here, kind of gaining that experience, working with mostly the small mammals at that time, but a little bit of the reptiles. And then fortunately, after I graduated, I was offered the reptile position, and I was very happy to be able to come back. And that's kind of where my love of the reptiles kind of blossomed from working with these guys specifically. When I was offered this job, it was definitely an opportunity that I decided to go with. I've always liked animals, kind of all of them. So I didn't really know what, I guess you can say, my dream animal was. I didn't really have one. I technically still don't, I guess. But I realized that I do really love these guys, and honestly, I would probably be happy working with reptiles for the rest of my zookeeping career.
So I've been out of Africa for about 2 years, and I actually kind of got my foot in the door when I did an internship here during college. So I've always known that I wanted to work with animals in some capacity, but I wasn't really sure what path I wanted to take. And so I did an internship during my summer break in college, and I was able to come here 4 days out of the week and just kind of do everything with the keepers. I did all the duties with them or observe some things that I couldn't do as an intern, and I just got to learn exactly what a keeper does in a day, and so that really helped me decide that I wanted to pursue a career in zookeeping.
I've been working here out of Africa for about 5.5 years, but I've been working with large carnivores like big cats and other predators for a little over 10 years now.
And you'll see at the park at Out of Africa, that's where our staff is. They're looking at the needs of the animal. That's what this whole thing is about. The room they need, their need fulfillment. And doing that, not just looking into self, how does it make me look? What does the animal need? And then everybody is happy.
When you learn to listen to your parents and you've got the rebellion out of it, you have a better shot at it. But don't bring your own opinion, because it won't live with the tiger. But if we trade positions, come out of the humanity, go into the rest of the beings on the planet, operate from the traffic laws of nature, the law of the jungle, okay? It works just fine. Let's give it a shot. Going for the water, Jane? Go, 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 Woo! Tiger splash. Good job, everybody. Well done.
So day to day would definitely depend on the day. We have different jobs that we do depending on the day, but normally we do safari tours every single day. We take guests on a giant school bus in a habitat with all the animals to kind of educate them and just give a fun and like entertaining tour. We feed all them every day, twice a day. We do have to clean up after them as well, so kind of the dirty part of the job, and just kind of watch them and take care of them, maintain or just check out their body conditions and make sure everyone's doing okay, and we do have to medicate them if they do need that as well.
Yeah, so when we get here in the morning, we're going to feed all of our animals their breakfast. This is also the time when we're doing health checks on everybody, making sure everyone's okay. We also are going to be cleaning habitats at that time, so picking up lots of poop. Then we will go ahead and kind of get diets going for the next day. And we'll do a Creature Feature show, which is a show that we do. We bring out some animals to an arena just to educate the public on those animals. And then the rest of the day just kind of consists of doing projects, habitat maintenance, and then just feeding the animals their dinner at the end of the day.
In my day-to-day here at the park, I have a wide range of duties. First thing in the morning, I have a meeting with my staff and we go over different things, new things with the animals, any changes in health or behavior with the animals. Then we go into just checking to make sure everybody's here, make sure everybody's well, everyone has clean water. I distribute meds in the morning and clean lots of habitat. That is probably the primary job that I have here, is picking up after the animals. And then I also do a variety of different shows, public speaking, and then also tours and things like that.
Okay, on the tiger today, we'll start with guitar. Here he goes, there he goes. Whoa! Whoa! Oh my gosh. You got that in a hurry. Now he's looking for something else, and Brittany has the something else. Now, turns out tigers like toys. That's a good thing. We live longer this way. You say, where to go? Where to go? Now, the reason that Brittany is moving it is because all predation begins with movement. The tiger won't attack as long as the prey is still. It's the same with a mountain lion or a snake. If the mouse doesn't move, the mouse is still alive. The mouse moves, the snake strikes. Like that. She says, I don't know, I can do this, I can get it.
Currently, we are working with 23 different species here. Yeah, so that's a mixture of all the snakes and the lizards.
We have a lot of different types, so it depends on the species. We have multiple of each species, but we have quite a lot of little guys here at the park. Not exactly sure the number. So today we're with Bart. So this is our Linnaeus' two-toed sloth. And so he is our only sloth here at the park. That's totally fine because they are solitary. So he likes his bachelor pad. He likes to be on his own. But yeah, this is Bart. His full name is Bartholomew, but his friends call him Bart. Bart is 15 years old now. So that is still pretty young for a sloth in captivity. We expect him to live into his 30s, even his 40s. The oldest is actually a zoo in Germany as a 51-year-old sloth. But in the wild, 15 to 20 would be average.
When it comes to the animals' care, the staff here at Out of Africa is very involved in their well-being and also just their veterinary care in general. It's a job that you have to be very observant because you have to be able to see if there's differences in an animal's behavior or even physically in them that need to be reported to a veterinarian. We don't have a vet on staff here on site, but we do have 2 vets that we work with very closely. One that's just 5 minutes away and then another one that is about an hour away. We do a lot of the animal care directed by a vet. We do a lot of that ourselves as far as like distributing medications that a veterinarian has prescribed. and doing health checks on the animals. One thing that we're able to do here, because we're free contact with the animals, meaning that we go into the habitats with them, is that instead of having to sedate an animal every time that it needs a checkup, we can just go in and palpate down their entire bodies and check for lumps and bumps and bruises and things like that, instead of having to put them through the stress of sedation every time that they do need a checkup. Although we can do that easily as well with a hand injection, very stress-free, and we do that regularly too.
We are hands-on a lot with the giraffes, and that's mainly because we do train them. So basically we train them to give them hoof trims on their feet because it is something that they really need. We are not hands-on like with our sable antelope because they're just known for being super aggressive. We do, however, have to medicate an elderly one, and we have to hand feed her. Not everyone in the department can, just me and then my manager, just because of the nature of the animal. The rhino, we're kind of hands-on with, but the carnivore keepers, they go in with the carnivores. We do not go in with the rhino just because of his size and how quickly he can move. So not all the animals we're hands-on with, but I would say the giraffes are the big ones that we are hands-on with.
I actually got offered at one point an opportunity to work with like the big cats here at the park and stuff. It definitely was tempting. I love those cats too, and I think playing in Tiger Splash would be really cool. But for me, I do really like to be super hands-on and like cuddle my animals and stuff. That's why Ginger is my favorite, because she loves affection and she'll just let me hold her and snuggle with her all day. So we still are very hands-on with our big cats here at the park, but of course you can't really pick up a tiger and give it a big old hug and stuff. So I just like my smaller animals that I can kind of be a little bit more intimate with. I wouldn't say there's less chance of things going wrong. Honestly, most of the times the little guys are the most feisty ones. So with like our raccoons and stuff, they've definitely chased me out of habitat before, just mainly playing, but of course they like to play with their teeth sometimes. Our otter, when we had her, she loved us a little too much with her teeth too. So the little guys can be very feisty, so things can definitely go wrong, but of course there's not quite as much of a detriment if you are attacked by like a smaller guy. It's not going to be too big of an issue as compared to a tiger. So things still happen, but obviously it is not quite as much of a risk in terms of that, yeah.
Animals under human care do have much longer lifespans compared to those that live in the wild. The general rule is that captivity doubles the lifespan of an animal. So say a lion, in the wild they'd be lucky to make it to 10 years old, but in captivity under human care with all the excellent vet care that we give them, they can make it to between 17 to in their early 20s.
If animals are to be in captivity, then we must decide to not look from our own point of view, but from theirs. We must be able to determine their needs. So again, we have the need to feel safe, the need to have good food, the need to have a place that's big enough and adventurous enough to have a real life.
Yeah, so I mean, all the different species, so we have mixed species habitats, one over here, one over here. Giraffes and zebras, not only just their physical being different, but just their behaviors for one. Everyone thinks zebras, are very friendly, like horses, and I hate to break it, they're really not. They definitely can be quite sassy. They're just known for, biting and kicking. It's just something that comes natural to them, whereas giraffes, they can definitely do all the same things. But I would say their temperament is just a lot more mellow. And we do work a lot closely with the giraffes than the zebras, but mainly I would say that's kind of because of the zebras and just how their attitudes are. We do have, we have a camel, we have ostriches, I think working with them, you also know their personalities. So even if we have 3 giraffes like we do, all of their personalities are different as well. So we kind of have to work with their personalities, and we know which certain animals we can do certain things with. Some of the animals are more dangerous, like the sable antelope, and those ones we get nowhere near. So it really just depends, really, I would say a lot on their personality.
With the reptiles, like I said, they're very different from mammals. Their brain doesn't have all of the same areas of it as a mammal's brain does. So when it comes to younger reptiles, they don't really have like a play instinct like young mammals, including children, have. So would I say these guys actually feel love and affection? Probably not. They don't actually have that part of their brain, but they definitely have personalities. Each one acts differently. She's checking you out right now. She's saying hello. It's more of an instinct, and it's more of a learned memory for them. So she associates humans with feeding. You know, we feed her, so she appreciates that. And she also associates human with touching, which might be something she likes. I'm not 100% sure. But we always say when people ask us, do they like to be pet? I always respond with, they would let us know if they didn't. And she's doing nothing to tell us. She doesn't at least like it a little bit, or she's fine with it. So yes, perhaps Buttercup doesn't love me personally, but she definitely recognizes me, and I think that's pretty close.
What do they eat? All the large carnivores that live here eat meat. Yeah, a variety of different kinds of meat. We feed the lions and tigers beef, as well as chicken and turkey sometimes. We like to mix it up for them to keep it interesting. So lions and tigers, large carnivores like that, they don't eat every single day, and we feed them 3 days a week. Most zoos and wildlife parks will feed their large carnivores in a similar way, including fast days in their diet where they don't eat anything at all, because that is very similar to how they would eat in the wild. In the wild, lions are gorging animals, which means that when they do make a kill, and they're only successful 1 out of about every 8 times that they hunt. So when they do make that kill, they're gonna eat as much as they can. Gorge themselves till their bellies are full and they're basically useless because they don't know when their next meal is coming.
Bart is getting very hungry. I'm gonna feed him some more tofu. Tofu is actually his favorite. It's pretty unusual for a sloth, but he is very spoiled and he loves it. So his protein consists of a lot of tofu and scrambled eggs, which are his favorite. He's a very fancy sloth. They have to be scrambled, yeah.
You wanna come over? Come on. They love the cookies though, so we'll see. Moenzi, come on. Yeah, they know this space means cookies. Can I have a kiss? Thank you. Yeah, we taught them how to give kisses. These cookies are gonna be their favorite food. They are horse treats. They're apple and oat flavored. It's kind of the one thing that all the hoofstock animals here collectively really like. We do give them produce as well. It's just a fun form of enrichment for them. We don't really know their favorites yet. Pilgrim, our big giraffe, he loves tomatoes and bell peppers. Those are definitely his favorites.
It depends on the individual for sure. These guys are ambush predators, so mostly out in the wild, you would just see them curled up under a bush, like sitting really, really still, not really moving around too much, which is why they can go such long periods without having to eat as much.
Yes, the big cats do not look at us as a food source. They know that we are not a source of food for them. They're fed in a different way, and we're around them all the time, constantly, so they see us as friends. So yeah, a lot of them came here to us when they were very young. Some of them were born here, and we just spent a lot of time with them to establish that relationship with them and keep that strong throughout their whole lives.
My favorite part of the job, I would think, is how close we can get to the animals, and not even just us as employees, but even guests. Guests come to the park, and I've heard so many times we can really get so close to the animals, and you really can, and I think that that's important for the guests to get that experience, because then they'll care more about these animals and they'll care more about their wild counterparts as well. But yeah, like I said, the training the giraffes I think is the most exciting thing for me. It also is the most challenging thing. It's probably one of the hardest things for me personally because it's me and the giraffe, and we kind of have to read each other and figure each other out, which I really do like.
Zookeeping in general is a pretty competitive field. It can be kind of hard to get your foot in the door a lot of times just because it is a pretty cool job most of the time. 90% of my day is picking up poop, but the rest of it is very interesting. I love my job. So it can be very hard to kind of get into the field initially. There's a lot of competition for that. But once you get into it, there's definitely ways to kind of move and advance through the kind of ranks of zookeeping as well, and just kind of going into management. But people a lot of times don't even think about other types of positions that are needed at like a zoo or some type of wildlife facility. You know, we have a maintenance crew here at the park that has to kind of help us with all the habitats, you know, sprinklers, building habitats, things like that. And you know, mechanics here at the park for all of our vehicles, you know, just different kind of people that you don't necessarily associate with like working at a zoo. So it takes a whole team of people here at the park, not just the keepers, to kind of make sure that these animals have what they need. Everyone sees you cuddling with the animal and they're like, oh, it's the best job ever. I would do this for free. Which, you know, obviously I do love my job and those parts are invaluable, just the time with the animals and bonding with them, but that is a very small part of it, which, you know, is expected. It takes a lot to care for these guys, you know, and meet all the requirements. So I don't mind it. I love working outside too. So like this morning I was, you know, down in a hole, digging a hole for a sprinkler head that had burst in habitat. So, you know, we have a maintenance crew here, but they get busy. So, you know, I don't know how to replace the sprinkler, but I know how to dig a hole. So, so just different things like that. I love working outside and not being at a desk all day, but the animal interaction is the best part, of course. Yeah. But I always like to tell kids, you do pick up a lot of poop. Yeah. Just, you know, that's probably the biggest part of my job.
Do I have a favorite? That's always a tough question because these are all my kids and, you know, it's hard to ask a mom which one's her favorite, right? I do, though. As far as species goes, lions and tigers are very, very different from each other, despite the fact that they're both felines, they're both cats, but they are very different in their personalities and demeanors. Lions are a lot more affectionate and I don't want to say snuggly, but they are a lot more affectionate towards each other and towards us. Whereas tigers are a lot more playful, they're a lot more rowdy, they're like bulldozers, they just don't stop.
It's okay, she doesn't have any ears. She can't hear. But my favorite giant snake would have to be Oriana. She is also a reticulated python. She looks super different from Buttercup. She is a type of albino. She's called a lavender morph, so she actually has a little bit of purple in her. And she is super sweet and I absolutely love her. So Oriana would probably be my favorite.
If somebody wants to be in this line of work, the first thing you have to do is ask yourself, who are you? Who am I inside? What is my passion? How deep is it? How long has it been? Do I recognize it? Did it just show up or has it always been and maybe it was just recently triggered? How strong is it?
So in order to get into a position like myself, working with large carnivores, it is a very competitive industry, working in the animal industry. So there's all kinds of different avenues that a person can take, but it is a very competitive field. So most often it does help if a person earns a degree of some kind, usually a degree in one of the sciences, either biology, zoology, but even psychology. And then it takes a lot of determination. Even after a degree, it's not as easy to get your foot in the door, so sometimes it takes volunteering at different zoos or even animal shelters, anything that you can do to just continue that passion and work hard toward getting your foot in the door. Well, you have to be very, very passionate about this. It's not, and it's kind of cliche to say, but people say that this is more of a lifestyle than a job, and that's because it is a labor of love. It's not all glamorous. Yes, we do go in with the big cats, we jump in the pool with the tigers for Tiger Splash, and we socialize with them, so we're with them a lot. But like I said, a lot of my job is just picking up poop, cleaning up after the animals. So, and it's not in the easiest conditions. We're outside all day long, and we're going and running all day long. We have to be able to speak to the public, and so it's not a job that is as glamorous that it might appear from the outside. So you do have to be passionate about it and stay driven towards it. I would say to say yes to any opportunity that comes your way, even if it's with a species that you're not particularly interested in, because oftentimes that will open up a door to what you do actually want to do. So even if it's working with domestic animals to begin with, working with cats and dogs, at an animal shelter or grooming, anything that you can do, because all animal behavior kind of translates to other animals. So if you can read and understand a dog's behavior, and the better that you get at that, or a domestic cat's behavior, that does then translate into the large carnivores, the big cats, the bears and things like that. So even just being able to work with and understand animal behavior and reading them, and just getting better at that in general will help you then in the exotic world as well.
When we take guests out on tour, we look for individuals when applying for this job, just being very positive, you're just able to talk to guests, you know, and entertain them and educate them on the animals. Just make it a fun experience for them, because at the end of the day, they are coming here and the owners built this to represent Africa, and some people may never be able to go to Africa, so you want to give them the best experience possible on the safari tour, basically. So my advice to anyone wanting to join, I would say the zoo field in particular, just get hands-on experience. I think that would be my big one. College degree definitely would help. A lot of facilities do specifically look for a 4-year college degree, or they look for a lengthy amount of time in the field. So if you go straight out of high school or even in high school, volunteer your time at your local zoo in the summer, at your local dog shelter, just get any hands-on animal experience. Because even with college, they can teach you, you know, the basics about the animals and things like that, but when you get into the field and you work with these animals, it's so different. So just having that knowledge of the animals, of being in a school, and then your hands-on experience, I think would be crucial. And I think just having a very positive and passionate attitude. This field is very laborious. I mean, here in Arizona, summers are brutal working outside in the heat. And if you don't have that passion, I think that could definitely, you know, if you're not a summer person, it may not be for you, or if you live somewhere where it snows a lot, if you're not passionate about it, you're not willing to just stick through the harder times. But I definitely think passion, positivity will take you really far in the field as well.
So I got a degree in environmental science and then a certificate in wildlife ecology and management. So I didn't get as many animal classes as I would have liked to, just because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, so I kind of had a more broad path to choose from, but definitely got a couple of ornithology and different types of animal classes in. But the internship of coming here, hands-on experience, was definitely the biggest thing. So whether that's volunteering at your local shelter, coming here, doing an internship at a zoo, or some type of wildlife park, hands-on experience is going to be the biggest thing. But of course, you know, if you have lots of pets at home too, just doing research on your pets and making sure you're giving them proper care, and just kind of learning as much as you can about animals and their behavior and their requirements, whether it's nutritional stuff, habitat, environment stuff. Just kind of informing yourself as much as possible to prepare for possibly going into the field.
For younger people wanting to enter the zookeeping field, it's definitely not the easiest. I'm sure a lot of people would already say to do internships, volunteer, things like that. To go above that, I would say take any opportunity you can for it. So I didn't know that I loved reptiles as much as I do before I started working with them. So if you get offered a job with, I don't know, say birds, and you don't really have much experience with birds, you don't think you'd like them very much, still do it. You might realize that, wow, I really do like birds.
I think the whole purpose of zoos and wildlife parks is to educate the public. Because like I said, not everyone is going to get the chance to go to Africa or go to Asia to see these animals. So having them in zoos, they're ambassador animals for all the wild species. And you know, like giraffes, not all their species are doing great in the wild, same with rhinos. So I think when people come to the park, in any zoo for that matter, it's the workers' job, the zookeepers, the, you know, ambassadors, the animals, to just really get people excited about the animals, because at the end of the day, I think that's what it is all about. It's to show the passion and the love for the animals, because then hopefully it'll spread to you, it'll spread, you know, to the neighbor. And even with the rise of social media too, you know, people come to the zoos, they post videos on TikTok, Instagram, and they can go viral. Anyone can see them. And I think it can just help that one species that is struggling that people will care about. So I think that's pretty important.
The fact that the park is out of Africa is like it is, and when people come here, they don't know what it is, but they've heard people say, you've got to see it, it's different. You know, they love the animals, and you can tell they love the animals, and so it's a good place for people to bring their children to learn how to treat animals and how to love them and how to give. And when people come here, that's what they comment about all the time. You get so close and you see the animals, you see their eyes, you feel the animals, and you know that everybody here loves the animals. And so you go away a better person just from being part of it.
Maybe just something that a lot of times people don't think about, especially when you're relating to like S.T.E.A.M and stuff to zookeeping, is you know, it does take a lot of kind of not necessarily large-scale appliances, but like science, math, so it all applies. So like when we're giving medications to animals, sometimes we'll be given a certain dosage of something, but you have to calculate how much that animal should get based off its weight and everything like that, and make those calculations. So there's always different things that you can apply, things that you're learning in school, into something like zookeeping. It seems like we're just cuddling with animals all day, but a lot does go into it. So it is really important to kind of pay attention to all those things. And you will use them. You'll be kind of surprised when you use them in your day-to-day activities as a zookeeper even.